I think that one of the central questions of the gospel is, who is Jesus? I think the gospel writers are trying to answer that question, or at least trying to make a particular argument about who Jesus is in the world. And there's this particular passage in Mark chapter 8 where they go to Caesarea Philippi, and Jesus asks them, who do people say that I am? And they say, some say Elijah, blah, 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 blah. Peter finally says, you are the Messiah. And then he sits down with them and starts to teach them about what an actual Messiah is. And he says stuff like he's going to be brought up on charges in 3 days. And then, he'll be killed and then have to be raised. And Peter grabs him and says, no, you can't say that stuff. Whether Peter says that because he says the Messiah isn't like that, or he's trying to tell Jesus what Jesus has been telling them the whole time, which is, shh, don't tell anybody about this, right? Jesus always says that. It's kind of a messianic secret. Don't tell people that I've done these things. Be quiet if you know I'm the Messiah. And so whether he's doing that or he doesn't think that Jesus' interpretation of the Messiah as a suffering Messiah is correct, either way, Peter says, hey, he pulls him aside and says, no, you don't say those things. And then Jesus comes right back at him and rebukes him, says, get behind me, Satan. You're putting your mind on these things, on earthly things and not divine things. And then he goes on to talk about, you must lose your life. And regardless of where Peter stands on that, whether he's trying to keep the messianic secret or saying that there's no suffering, there's no suffering Messiah, there seems to be a kind of ambiguity in this passage of what does it mean to call Jesus the Messiah? What does it mean for our lives? Does it mean that everything's going to be great? Does it mean that we must suffer? I think this question is being asked and talked about with the disciples. And right here at the very end, he says, Jesus says to the crowd, if anyone wants to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. It's that passage. And then you got to lose your life. It's a mysterious passage. But it's one that I think that all Christians at some point, and I would even say all religious people, have to come to grips with. The relation of the self and God. The relation of what it means to be a self. What it means to be like a person. And in this passage, it is very much a kind of giving to others, a sort of losing ourselves in God, I think. But I'm only going to do 3 minutes today because I think a 10-minute YouTube video is way too long. And so I think what I'm going to start doing, these are going to be a little different. I'm just going to read the passage and I'm going to just ask questions about that passage. Like I did today. It's a mysterious passage. Is Peter being this way or that way? Is Jesus saying we have to die, or is Jesus saying something about losing ourselves in God? I don't know. And I think I'm going to stop answering those questions just for a little bit to see what happens. And these are only going to be no more than 4 minutes. But yeah, we'll see how that works. I usually end in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to kind of let that hang, the mysteriousness of this passage. I would encourage you to look at that Mark 8 passage. It's 31 through 38. And Jesus and Peter are having a very interesting conversation.